Hello, welcome to AB Lifetime, channel on Transpersonal Psychology. And today I am with Dr. Jessica Bockler, and we are talking about creativity and transformation. Hi, Jessica.
Hello, I'm very pleased to be here.
Oh, I am so happy you're here.
My training has very much been in the area of participatory arts, applied theatre arts. It's a process of letting go, sometimes perhaps emptying the mind, leaving the world out there, clearing the space, creating space, making space, so letting go, and then letting come.
This creativity, this is anxiety, and it's going in a balance. If anxiety is this level, then creativity is going down.
Closing eyes and let the fingers of one hand explore the other hand. So you can use your fingertips. Let your fingers play. Notice what that feels like.
How would you describe the creativity and transformation potential? What is that?
Okay, so for me, creativity has been a lifelong pursuit and passion. I personally am a performing artist. I trained in acting and directing at the Liverpool Institute for Performing Arts. And my training has very much been in the area of participatory arts, applied theatre arts. So enabling people from all backgrounds to tap into their creative potential. And over the years of working, I've really discovered for myself and for others that this creative process is something that we all have access to. We are all creative. If you look at children, they play naturally and they grow through their play.
Yeah.
And as we grow older, we can lose contact with this creative potential, this wellspring, and this deeper source that runs through us. So for me, the exploration of creativity and transformation is very much about enabling people to rediscover the potential that they have, to rediscover this connection to something beyond themselves that flows through them, informs them, and enables them to unfold as human beings and flourish.
Could you please name some of the expressive arts and just describe them?
So personally, I work in a multimodal way. So I would, if I'm working with clients, and I work a lot in community contexts and in arts and health contexts, I would draw on movement-based practices, movement work, dance, also some vocal work, theatre work, and combine this with writing, spontaneous writing, so stream of consciousness writing, drawing, doodling, mark making. So for me, it's a matter of noticing what is needed for a client in a particular circumstance, and then drawing on the creative media in order to enable their creative and expressive flow. So for me, expressive arts is exactly about that. It's using all the tools that are available to us, tapping our entire expressive potential in order to facilitate this flow. So getting people in touch with themselves, and then discover what is calling them. Where is this impulse for play? A lot is about play, enabling people to play. So for me, the expressive arts serve really the liberation of the playful impulse, and then this sort of listening and noticing what wants to happen, and to follow through and to unfold that. And from there, this the stream of impulses unfolds, which then takes people on a journey and enables them to discover what are the deeper questions that are calling them, what are they keen to explore in terms of their own creative and expressive potential.
Could you please tell a little bit more about like creativity and spontaneity? Is there like how do you connect these things when you're working with people? Like,
for me, spontaneity goes very much to the heart of the creative process. There are tools, there are techniques, but ultimately what's really at the heart of this is a kind of, I'm wanting to do this as I'm speaking, is this deep listening in and really noticing what wants to happen. And it's a process of letting go. Sometimes perhaps emptying the mind, leaving the world out there, clearing the space, creating space, making space. So letting go, and then letting come. So spontaneity is that. It's this deep availability and cultivating awareness for what wants to unfold through me. Through you.
Right.
And so it's really honoring that. So when I'm working as a facilitator, I'm trying to create that container for the person I'm working with, a container, a safe space where they can pay attention to that and trust that. It's about trusting oneself. Yes.
And being spontaneous.
Exactly, yes. Yes. And sometimes we need other people to bounce off. We need, it's great to work with movement and theatre modalities where you're in relationship, you're playing together, and you take awareness away from the self, so you're not so self-conscious. So we're having to get away and around self-consciousness, which is there for all of us initially, right? So it's this, can we play together in a group or even just as a pair? Through something like a dance movement modality, contact improvisation, for example, playing, and in that relationship, then we're freeing ourselves. It's very liberating, and then comes the further journey, the deeper, the peeling of the onion, the deeper discovery, the deeper self-discovery. Yeah.
When you are telling me this, since I'm trained in psychodrama method, it's like Jacob Levy-Moreno, who is a founder of psychodrama. He used to say that more creativity you have, this creativity, this is anxiety, and it's going in a balance. If anxiety is this level, then creativity is going down. This is what
very much. Yes, and I often work with people who are, I work a lot in health contexts. So I work with people who have depression or experiencing stress, anxiety, and then it's a matter of kind of really listening and noticing what's happening for the person and discerning ways that will enable them to let go of the anxiety, to let the anxiety's there, but how can we get around it? Can we start to play? Some people are very ready to play with movement and theatrical modalities, voice.
My favorite.
I love this too. I could, go into singing and movement and connection with people through touch. Some people are shyer around that and not comfortable with that.
Yes.
So then we might work with a medium, like a visual medium, like clay, for example, and get their hands to play. And clay is wonderful, but also other natural materials, to play with these natural materials and to just almost with eyes closed and to let the that process of play take over, and then we can move on from there and start to enter into maybe a dialogical process with the material and let the material speak to us, and engage in work with metaphor, for example, or story, or and so on. Yes, it's I love it. It's great. It's very exciting.
I see that. Could you please share the ways how people can start to explore their creativity when they never explore that, and if they would like to do that?
I would re-emphasize one point I made earlier, which is the idea of letting go and letting come. So I would say make space for creativity, so take time out. You might want to go for a walk, connect with nature, create a calming environment at home as well. Making space for creativity is really important, so that the subtle impulses, the play impulses, the creative impulses can come to the surface. So we can't force creativity, but we can cultivate the soil. We can create a space, a sanctuary, if you will, for the creative impulse to then blossom and unfold. So the one thing is to, at home, make that space, or to go on nature walks to connect with the natural environment, which is very soothing and calming, and then to begin to play from there. So if you're out in nature, you can work with natural materials, you can collect natural materials, you can go out for a photo walk and use nature as a point of inspiry, so a place to inspire. You need to discern and discover for yourself what materials and media speak to you. It might be that creative writing is something you enjoy. It might be that visual arts or sculpture, collage, working with visual materials is exciting for you. Some people love knitting and spend a long time, working, playing with. So it's the play and the discovery of what sensory modalities, what materials speak to you. That I think is an important part as well, to really discover, am I a singer, am I an embodied person, am I someone who likes to sit down and play with materials? And once you have made that space and you've got your materials ready, I would say if you get stuck and you're ready, you're a writer, you're poised with your pen and want to get really into this, but you're stuck, then I would say move from one modality to another. So if you're a writer and nothing's coming, you're stuck, put the pen down and move so that you are freeing up the body and you're becoming unstuck through movement. And you can shift from movement, maybe just putting on a piece of music, having that run, dancing freely, liberating the body a bit, then pressing pause on the music, sitting back down and writing. And that sort of back and forth between one way of working and another can really be liberating for the creative impulse. So these are a few suggestions that I would have for getting going, getting the creative juices flowing.
When you are telling, I'm like, yes, this nature works because I do. You saw how I live. I have this huge area with nature, and it's actually, I'm stuck. I just have a long walk, and during this walk, all creative ideas are coming.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes, I do that exactly the same too. We have a nature reserve not far away from our house. I go out when I am feeling stuck in any way, whether it's with academic work or a creative piece. I go out and I walk, and I have I practice martial arts also, so I bring my sticks that I use, my wooden staff, for some movement work in the woods. And it's a way of reminding myself of the body, of grounding myself, and then from there, being away in a different environment, the inspiration comes. And in that case also, if you're out, it's useful to have a notebook with you, notebook and or camera, so that you can capture what's on your mind, and you can also capture in the environment what's inspiring to you, because that's another really useful thing. Surround yourself with things that inspire you, whether that is colors, textures, photographs. I would, have as many materials that inspire you as possible, so to liberate creativity.
They are actually becoming your resources. Like if you love to look at the pictures, it's like you do the pictures and then come home, and this is your resource. Nice. You are returning back yourself there. Wow.
Yes, very much. And it's the engagement with these materials that can shift your thought process if you're stuck with a creative process. And I would say it's useful to engage in a kind of multi-sensory process. So for example, for character development, if I'm an actor, I might use a prop in order to build a character. So whether it could be a shoe, for example, right?
Right.
So, and I might put that shoe on, but I might also feel the shoe, look at the shoe, the color of the shoe. I walk in the shoe to see how does that inform the walk of the character. And from there, my imagination is fired off. And it's the same for any other creative process. It's useful to have external materials to use as a kind of springboard to fire up the imagination.
Would it be all right for us to do a little kind of demo so we can give the idea for people of practical use of this creativity theory?
Sure, absolutely, yes. And what I'd like to do is I'd like to use the hands today as our gateway for creative exploration and expression. It can be really great to work with a sort of body-based theme, to connect with the body and to let the body speak back to us. So just to begin with, that's right, let's warm up the hands a little bit. Rub your palms together so you can feel the energy being generated.
Yeah. I feel that.
Okay, great. And then just for a moment, actually, keep your hands connected but close your eyes. So just take a moment, closing eyes, and let the fingers of one hand explore the other hand. So you can use your fingertips, just spending a little time exploring, touching, sensing, into the connection between your hands, one hand exploring the other. You might explore the back of the hand.
Is it better to do it with closed eyes?
It's I'm having my eyes closed right now. It's very helpful because it brings you into the embodied experience. So if you can, do close your eyes, lower your eyelids, and really just take a moment to sense into this connection. And you can be very gentle with the touch, or you can be a little bit more rigorous. So you can vary the level of touch. Maybe you can feel the skin, you can feel the tendons, the bones. Just really notice what you can notice. So I invite you to really drop into this sensory exploration. Really stay with this for a little longer. And you can always pause the video as well if you want to do it for longer. But just do this with me now. Keep and stay with it. So let your hand, one hand, right now I'm using my right hand to explore my left. But you do this in your own way, really exploring, noticing the detail of the hand. And then let's move this on. So let the two hands sort of discover each other, like two little creatures. So let your fingers play. Notice what that feels like. Maybe the two hands can develop a little dance together. And I'm doing this with you. So I am having my eyes closed. I'm staying present with that process. And as you're doing that, you might discover there are gestures that you're making with your hand that are familiar. Maybe discover those gestures a little more. So allow yourself to inhabit these gestures. And notice what that does to the whole of the body. So drop more deeply into this process, sensing into the hands and letting the hands lead you in a little movement exploration. Playful, gentle, expressive. There's no right or wrong. It's your own process and you follow through. So keep following through and let your hands lead you in movement. And let the rest of the body follow. I'm remaining seated, but this may well become something that makes you want to stand up. And if you're comfortable with this process and you feel you're really connected to it, you can also then open your eyes and let that take you through the space. You can spend more time with this, but I'm speeding up the process a little bit now for the purpose of the demonstration, and I'd like you to find one gesture that speaks to you, one gesture that speaks to you. And just hold that for a moment. Can you feel into it deeply? Can you sense into it the shape of the whole body as you hold this gesture? Can you breathe it in? Really feel it in the body. And then let that go. And we can deepen the process further. At this point, I would suggest that you notice what words are coming. As you were doing this, what words were present? Maybe there were, memories surfacing. And you can take this into a writing exploration. So get a pen and paper and just do a little bit of stream of consciousness writing, letting the hands speak to you. Letting the hands speak to you. This can be stream of consciousness writing, or it could also be doodling and mark making. Giving the hands an opportunity to speak to you, so you give them a voice. And that will bring up a lot of really juicy material. Our hands are very much about our connections with the world, how we relate to the world. And of course, we tap into memories as we work with the body. So thank you.
Thank you so much. And just last question is just very personal, and because we have time limitations, could you please, my classmates from my PhD program asked me to ask you what are the resources of your energy, but because we have time limitations, could you please tell this in 3 words?
In 3 words. Connection to source. And not this kind of sauce that you put on your steak, but a source beyond the self, something where we're, it's about having an expansive awareness, grounding that in the body, connecting with what you love.
You have this connection.
It's, for me, it is something that I try to cultivate as much as possible in my life. So I think that is, the connection to something higher beyond myself is what motivates me, what drives me to work with other people, and also to cultivate open-heartedness, to be present with everything and everyone around us.
Dr. Bockler, Dr. Lancaster, thank you so much for doing this interview. Could you please tell briefly about what you are doing and about your cooperation in the project Alef Trust?
Okay, let's start with the cooperation. My background is somewhat intellectual, although I work with movement as well, but I was a professor at university in UK, so I'm deeply interested in transpersonal psychology, but we need in it to have an integrated, a whole program. It needs that other side, that artistic side, that practitioner side, and that's where Jessica comes in.
Yes, so Les and I founded the Alef Trust together, and the Alef Trust is a not-for-profit organisation, and its main output is in education, although we also deliver community programs. But just to speak a little bit about the education programs we deliver, they are in the university, so they're postgraduate, as we call them in the UK, graduate in the US, programs in consciousness, spirituality, transpersonal psychology. And we deliver a master's program that brings together these themes or these topics and enables students to create their own learning trajectory so that they can build the learning into their professional lives. So we have students who are therapists, counsellors, social workers, but also people who work in journalism, in corporate, police, that's right, nursing, many different professions. And people are interested in taking the transpersonal perspectives and integrating them into their lives. Now, in terms of our complementariness, in terms of our complementary backgrounds, I come very much from an experiential arts-based background. My training was in theatre arts originally. I've worked a lot in participatory arts. And what we do in the program is that we combine intellectual study with experiential learning.
Yeah, and my background was originally neuroscience, moving more into cognitive science, and then the psychology of spirituality and mysticism. And the other thing I would say, just to complete the picture, is that we really operate online. Although there are times that we come together physically, all our operations, all our learning is happening online. But at the centre, really what was the core of our founding of the Alef Trust is the need for community. The sense that there are many people, I think, who are sensing this spiritual upsurge in our day, but they may be somewhat isolated. And I think that's the real need in our day, to that sense of belonging, that sense of togetherness, and that it's one thing to be sensing a spiritual core, maybe having experiences of a spiritual nature, but it's another to understand that there's a whole scholarly basis for this as well. So that's what we try to bring together. I think that's at the core values of our community.
Thank you so much. So all contact information of Dr. Lancaster and Dr. Bockler you can find below the video in the description box. And thank you for watching. Thank you for participating in this little project.
Thank
Namaste.
you. Thank you, Anne. Be careful. Be careful.
Sit down.